Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Scorpio December 2024 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, Clairvoyant. Well, we have a very interesting deck this month full of medieval imagery. That very intriguing part of history where people acted very differently to the way that we all act today, at least in public anyway. And so it will be great for giving us messages about how you should manage the cosmic energy around to bring about emotional fulfillment and success for you. Now, you know, of course, that I provide clairvoyant readings to people from all over the world via FaceTime and Skype. The details of that are in the description below. I charge for those. They go for about an hour and a half, sometimes longer. Now, there's another gift which I also offer as a service for free to people all over the world through FaceTime and Skype as well, and it's the gift of healing. The details are in the description as well. There's no fee, there's no catch, there's no obligation, there's no expectation. It comes through me and not from me, and it's been made very clear to me over decades now that I am to get nothing in return and I am to provide it to people. You can put two and two together as to where it comes from. Now, lots of people take advantage of it, so if this is speaking to you, don't feel shy. Just reach out and contact me in the way that's set out in the description. Now, there are no video advertisements breaking their way into this content, and so you get to enjoy the experience direct without interruption. And we'll take 5 because together they will give you the picture about what's going on, so show me the magic. 6 of Swords. Here is 4 of Cups. What's going on there? You'll see what I mean. There's so much going on in this. 3 of Cups. So much going on in these paintings here. It's I'm not going to bother trying to provide a description of them because it'll take up all of our time. There's the 8 of Swords. Wow, that's pretty graphic, isn't it? As you'll see in just a moment. And finally, there is 5 of Cups. Right. I'll bring the camera around so you and I can look at the imagery. Now, you can take what you want from the imagery. I'll pick up the messages that I see while I do the reading for you. Now, I thought I'd just show you the back of the card, which is on this deck. And some people like to look at the backs of cards. I find a lot of them pretty boring myself, but I do like this one here. I think it's great art. What I like in particular, for a change, is one can see obviously the importance of the zodiac around on the back of the card, because as you probably know from listening to me, I think that the zodiac, if you like, see the planets, the sun, the moon, they are avatars, if you like, of spiritual energy that's running around. And I use planetary positions in the cards. Well, why don't we look at that? So let's have a look at this 5 here. Now, 5 I have associated with Mars. Actually, I have 5 associated with your planet of Mars. And the astrology of it, I have Mars ruling the first decan of Scorpio. 23rd of October to the 2nd of November, as you would know. Now, that's good because an energy which might otherwise be quite difficult and deal with disappointment in a practical and real sense is, I think, being contained within your mind rather than probably being played out. In your mind, there, you see, thoughts, where do thoughts come from? They come from you. You paint the picture of the thought and you put the words around the thought, and that's what the thought is. And then those words and that picture, you tell yourself those words. And the most powerful words that you will ever hear in your life are the words that you tell yourself. So don't ever talk yourself down. Now, because of what I say here is because I'm pleased that this is in your sign and with your planet of Mars. I mean, I do not for one moment, for example, consider that Pluto is your ruling planet. I think that's ridiculous. It's Mars, which also has the feminine sign, the feminine aspect to it in your feminine sign, as well as ruling out of Aries, which is the masculine sign, as you know. But in your mind, there may well be some feeling of unfulfilled expectations, maybe some loss of balance that you're thinking about. You're thinking about problems, real or imagined, in a relationship, or some unexpected disturbances. The thing with thoughts is that thoughts can turn into feelings. And so there can be quite an emotional attachment as a result of the thoughts as well, which I notice that this suit of cups very often has to do with emotions, as you would expect. There's a feeling of disappointment, perhaps, but the possibility is also here for a really important learning experience for you. And I do also have the sense of relationship around here as well. Now, it doesn't necessarily just have to be a romantic relationship. It could well be a business relationship or a social relationship. But you will remember that as children, we are taught that there is always a right and always a wrong. But actually, I think that that's untrue. Sometimes in your life, there are only wrongs, just as there are in my life and everybody else's life. Sometimes there isn't a choice between good and bad. You've got to choose between two unpleasant things. And we must choose the wrong that we love the most. And if I'm thinking in the terms of love, and how might I express this in a way which is gentle? Do you know that sometimes the love that it takes to look at your partner and realize that they should really just stay the way that they are, but not evolve alongside of you, because they're happier as who they are, just as they are. And you know that while knowing that you have to evolve. I mean, Scorpio is the great sign of transformation and evolution. So sometimes you might think you must go on without them because you have this one life and you know there's so much more on your path for you. And that's really a far greater love, strangely, than actually staying with the person. Sometimes leaving someone takes more courage and more love than wanting a life for them beside you. Do you understand? Because that's one that they are not supposed to live. And in which case, you might be thinking that you should give that relationship back to God so that God can let them and you continue on your own individual soul path. Now, I will also say this about thoughts, and in this context, and it particularly applies to women. You see, women can go over it again and again and again in their minds, can't they? Finding all sorts of deficiencies in themselves. I didn't do this right. I wasn't good enough. I didn't love him, or her, as the case may be, the way that I should have. Or she came in here and outperformed me. But the fact still remains that the man didn't have any business cheating, for example. So women need to release themselves from the blame, release themselves from the blame of a cheating man's actions. Just do that for yourself, because holding on to that baggage can be paralyzing. It can cripple you and keep you from performing in your next romantic encounter. You see, you simply cannot drive forward if you're always focused on what's happening in the rear view mirror. Do you understand what I'm saying? But whatever the case may be, now is a really good time for you to say to yourself, I get to know my own reality by learning to see where I fool myself or where I deny my inner voice. And then, interestingly enough, this other card on the same horizontal, incidentally, there's wonderful love, joy, bliss, emotionally, success, prosperity, all coming your way as well. But probably in relation to these things that are going on in your mind, it must be that you're turning them over and over and over in your mind. Wow, look at this. What a great painting that is. Now, this is Jupiter ruling the first decan of Gemini. I think there's a worry that you have from thinking too much about things, a difficulty in making a choice, perhaps. You're not going to get to the result until you go through some analysis, which I think you will be doing, because emotionally, before you start bringing your mind to play, you've got a fear of making the wrong choice about something. And this could also be affecting your strength. You might get to a period where you just go, why do I feel so tired? And it might be that in your mind that the more you try to unravel that tangled ball of yarn, the tighter the knots become. Well, let things rest and develop on their own for a while. And as long as doubts containing or relating to decisions remains, really just don't go for anything too dramatic or throw things overboard. But Jupiter here, you see, Jupiter is the great benefic, and it is bringing change which you can't even see at the moment. Unexpected change, and it's change for the better. This is a turning point for you towards emotional fulfillment and success. And these things which you're turning over in your mind, well, they're going to find their own solution in their own way. But even though I think you should maybe take some time to withdraw, I don't think that that's going to happen or can possibly ever happen with a Scorpio woman, because the Scorpio woman, actually the men as well, they're really like detectives. They're like investigators. And for the Scorpio woman, nobody can get to the bottom of the matter or find out the truth more than the Scorpio woman. Scorpio woman actually puts the entire police force of all the countries of the world to shame. They're like some superhero crime scene investigator that gets into things and looks for tricks. And the way that they go about finding out facts and who's involved in things, Well, really, they actually make all the detective shows that we watch on TV. The real Scorpio woman makes those things look like Sesame Street. Now, from a point of view of the Scorpio woman in particular, though it also applies to men, the Scorpio woman, you want your love to be returned to you in the same way that you give it. You want your romantic life to be as rewarding as they make them for the potential mates. You want your emotions that you turn on full blast to be met with the same intensity, don't you? You want intense, deep love and relationships. And you expect the premium that you put on commitment to be equally valued, respected, and locked in. I mean, the fact of the matter is this, that it's you who determines whether something goes ahead or not. You have total control over the situation, whether a man can come and talk to you, buy you a drink, dance with you, get your number, take you home, see you again, all of those sorts of things. Now, men, of course, want things from you. That's why they're talking to you in the first place, isn't it? But it's you who decides if you're going to give them any of the things that they want and how exactly they are going to get them. Now, where you stand in their eyes is dictated by your control over the situation. Every word you say, every move you make, every signal you give to a man will help him work out whether he should try to just play you like a fish on the end of a fishing line, or be straight with you, or move on to the next woman. So the thing is this, to avoid any mental confusion in the area of romantic objectives. Your objective is to avoid being on a string. Now, the first step is really just to get over the fear of losing the man by confronting him. Just don't be afraid. You know, the most successful people in the world recognize that taking risks to get what they want is a hell of a lot more productive than sitting around being too scared to take the shot. Now, the same philosophy, I guess, can be applied to dating, because if putting your requirements on the table means that you risk him walking away, well, it's a risk you have to take, because that fear can trip you up every time. You can get confused. You see, Jupiter in Gemini is very confusing energy. And very often, a lot of ladies just let the man get away with disrespecting them or putting in minimal effort because you're afraid he's going to walk away and you'll be alone again. Well, you are beautiful. Understand that. Love yourself and you become beautiful to others. Now, you do, however, use that fine mind of yours from what it looks like to me here, and here is the like this, because this is Mercury ruling the second decan of Aquarius. Mercury, you see, is the sign of the great intellect, and Aquarius is by nature intellectual, sort of detached in a way. So this is suggesting to me that you need to take a somewhat detached but balanced assessment of a situation at the moment. And you need to analyze the situation without bias and too much emotion in order to get the right result. Now, Aquarius is also the sign of innovation and originality. And so this can also represent you communicating your ideas really effectively, even ideas that are new or unconventional, in a very orderly way, because you'll have a great ability to analyze things at this time, to unify ideas. You'll get an all-encompassing vision, an all-embracing understanding about what's going on in your life. And not only are you physically beautiful, but you have a beautiful soul as well. You are a masterpiece, if I can put it that way. So also use this time to get to know yourself and your intuition more. Don't be afraid to meet your shadow sides, but just strive to become a better person after engaging with those shadows. You don't have to be perfect. Nobody is perfect. You see, your soul, that thing which is giving life to your body, it's like an unfinished sculpture, and you are the artist. So work diligently to polish the masterpiece. You can never be perfect on this physical plane, but you can be better. It doesn't have to be a burden, even though it can sometimes be a pain in the you-know-what, but accept it as a journey in this lifetime. This journey that you are on can be like a dangerous, exciting expedition with a set of challenges, but it has a trophy at the end, because that's exactly what it is. So you possess the ability to perceive on different levels and from different perspectives in your life. Now, where are the ruts in your life, and what are you going to do to sort them out? And say this to yourself, that now the rose of recognition blossoms in my heart. Now, as I say, there is a fantastic emotional finish to you. There's great prosperity coming around here as well. This Four of Cups, in this position where it is there, that would be the moon in Cancer. Now, the moon in Cancer is fantastic because moon is the ruler of Cancer, and the moon is about going down deep. Cancer, of course, is it's like a womb in which things can grow and build life. There's a great degree of love, tenderness, care, and emotional riches with you at this time. There is, in fact, going to be a wealth of feelings at hand whose roots are, thanks to the moon's presence here, they're buried deep. They go deep down into the subconscious. Now, this luxury is a responsibility as well. Love is a responsibility for you this month. Love is the only thing to ever hold on to, even when it was never returned to you, even if it was used as a tool to hurt you. Because, sadly, not everybody knows how to love or to treat people tenderly. A lot of tenderness around here. That's why when you speak with love and live through love, you will discharge your responsibility to fulfill on this earth, and that is to keep holding on to love. And delving more into this message which is coming up of the importance of tenderness, it applies to men, of course, because when a man is tender, it will melt the hardest of hearts. And for a woman needs to prize her tenderness and be able to display it at appropriate times in order to prevent toughness from gaining total authority and to avoid becoming a mirror image of those men who value power above life and control over love. how can I put this into some sort of a context, this image that's coming through of the necessity for toughness in women. And why don't I will say this, that it is true, it really is truthfully, I think, difficult growing up a woman. Maybe I can speak of a girl from a small town girl who lived in a small town for the most part, and nobody cared to know anything other than what they already knew. And she was something they didn't know. I think it was harder for her than the average girls because she was pretty, beautiful. And girls hate you when you're adorable. Every girl in a small town wants to be the only one worth loving. And this small town girl of ours, she always had that champagne bottle personality, unafraid to be soft. But other girls took that from her. They really did. They hurt her until she had to toughen up. But as she's grown into a beautiful woman, she says that the best thing about being a woman is that by now I've learned how becoming even more like myself is more powerful than any tough exterior I could put on. Those other small town girls, well, they hate that. It really kills them. Well, I have a sense of Mercury still hanging around here somewhere, and it's right here in the middle. So this is the last one too, isn't it? It's Mercury in Cancer again. Great emotional things here. There's overflowing love, a rare exchange of love, valuable feelings, and understandings which you can now communicate intimately. You've got something really valuable to share, so be open for the people who can share these exquisite feelings with you. They're also a gift. You don't need to look for them. Mercury is going to allow you to speak like an angel. Now, are there any people to whom you have not yet outwardly expressed your love that you feel for them? But now also is a time that you can give whatever you'd like in full awareness of your boundless riches, and say this to yourself, because it is true, that today life gives me everything I need to be happy. What a fantastic spread of cards for you. So much better for you being here. Well, I told you that was very interesting art, didn't I? And didn't you find it fascinating? I love that period in history. It's one of my favorite sections of history, I think. All around the world, or at least in Europe and the Middle East. And now, of course, unless I see you privately for a clairvoyant reading or for a healing, then I'll see you here again next month. And until then, though, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.